So let's start with talking about the Shawshank theme. Right off the bat, we have these low strings giving you a sense of something ominous happening, this conflict that's brewing underneath. And then when these higher strings come on, it accentuates it even more, because if we were to take these two parts and play them on the piano as if it was one hand playing for each, it would make it more transparent in this sort of a naked sound how disconnected these two lines are when played at the same time. And I mean, if you play that higher one individually, it wouldn't be as ominous sounding. But together they highlight that pain, that agony of what it's like to live at Shawshank. And then this third, even higher string part comes on, giving you more of a sense of the hope or the longing of the possibility of what life would be like outside of Shawshank. And I just love all of that. Now for the track Bruxos here, it starts off in this dream-like state that makes you feel like you're about to wake up, but it's constantly trapping you in this twilight of just beyond reach of actually waking up. And then this beautiful piano part comes on, and again, you could represent it in two different hands playing the piano, and individually these two ideas are very melancholic, but you join them together and they're not as disconnected from each other, but they're not perfectly congruous either, and so it's just this uncomfortable middle, this ambiguousness that keeps you moving. And then it goes into this very different part where there's movement underneath. Usually this brings to mind a sense of the story moving forward, and I liked the strings being picked here. Do you notice that? It's the little details like this that give you this organic, gritty sort of a feel that really brings you in, so you actually feel like you're at Shawshank, looking at it, tasting it, feeling it. So overall, it's a very whimsical, hopeful, but ultimately sad piece in my opinion, especially given Brooke's storyline and what ends up happening there, so definitely gives you the feels. Now I absolutely have to talk about the opera scene, and I'll let Morgan Freeman do a little bit of the soundtrack review here.
I have no idea to this day what those two Italian ladies were singing about. Truth is, I don't want to know. Some things are best left unsaid. I like to think they were singing about something so beautiful it can't be expressed in words, and makes your heart ache because of it. I tell you, those voices soared, higher and farther than anybody in a great place dares to dream. It was like some beautiful bird flapped into our drab little cage and made those walls dissolve away. And for the briefest of moments, every last man at Shawshank felt free.
Now, don't get me wrong, I love pop music, contemporary music, all of that, but when compared to opera or classical music, on the one hand, it's constantly trying to get your attention and to keep you listening. Whereas with classical music or opera, it tells the story beautifully, and it's up to you to pay attention and enjoy the details. And so it's a little bit harder because it's not doing the work for you. And this type of style may not sell as well comparatively, but if you want to experience music in a whole and different way, talk to somebody that loves this stuff, that just loves classical music and opera, and ask them why. And then really giving it a try, paying attention to all the little details, and being open to wherever the journey takes you without expecting it to grab your attention by the throat like everything else. And the last thing I want to talk about is the hope theme. I love this solo piece. It's performed by an oboe player, and the oboe to the average person looks like a clarinet, but the top part has a double reed. And I love how the oboe evokes a feeling in me as if it were a string moving. And yet at the same time, it also brings to it that nobility that typically comes with trumpets or horns. And so it has these qualities adorning it, and I just love how expressive of an instrument it is. And then all of a sudden, the volume is just diminished to this piano piece, and so that draws us in, that juxtaposition of an experience, and it's just so intimate. And it goes back to this dreamlike, wondrous sort of a feeling again, and it's almost as if the music wants to constantly remind us that we're watching a mythology, an archetypal story for the ages, and in my opinion, it's music for the soul. So those are some of my thoughts to the soundtrack to Shawshank Redemption. Please let me know what you think in the comments below, and if you enjoyed this video, please consider subscribing, sharing, liking, and if you really enjoyed this video, please consider backing me on Patreon, where you get access to cool rewards like talking to me one-to-one about music, and extra exclusive content behind the scenes, and many more things. So, as always, thank you for watching Soundtrack Reviews, and I'll see you next time.